Welcome to another interview on the Mojo Mecca YouTube channel. Today I'm speaking with Tina, and she's a beautiful sister, and we live together in community here in Ubud in Bali. And she is a yoga therapist that specializes in women's wellness, and she's amazing. I'm so grateful to have her sharing some of her wisdom. I've been wanting to interview her for a while now, so I'm excited. Hi, welcome.
Hi.
Tina.
Thank you.
So today she's going to be sharing practical tips on how you can feel more connected to your hormonal system in your body, and the way that changes in every week of your cycle, and how you can navigate that better to live a more wholesome life and more balanced life. So would you like to start, Tina?
Yeah. So this body of work really started for me to meet my own discomfort. For a long time I had quite intense PMS. So about 4 to 5 days before my period I would become an entirely different woman. Do you know what I'm talking about, ladies? So I would have this like dramatic shift in the way that I felt and the way that I was able to communicate how I felt, and I had a tough time, and it was affecting my own well-being, but it was affecting my relationships. And so really I started to explore what was going on in my own body to sort that out for myself. And then as I discovered tools that were empowering and that limited or modified my suffering, then I started sharing those with other people.
Yeah.
So I'm a yoga therapist, so I was really interested in how I could use yoga asana to support coming back into balance. But then in that research I discovered so many other things, and so now the larger body of work that I share with women of all ages is all the different tools that we can use, whether that's nutritionally or whether that's on the yoga mat or lifestyle changes, to help bring us back into a state of balance.
Yeah.
And the things that I found, really, there are 5 main contributing factors to hormonal imbalance. And hormonal imbalance can show up in all kinds of ways. So it could be PMS, but it also could be something more physically manifested, like endometriosis or painful periods or lack of periods, like amenorrhea or dysmenorrhea, or there's so many variations now. But what's alarming is that it's increasing. It's more and more. There are more and more women experiencing discomfort, and we're not meant to suffer. It doesn't have to be that way. It's not natural.
Yeah.
So when I started researching, there were 5 main causes of imbalance. So the number 1 cause of hormonal imbalance in women is stress. So high levels of stress. So that's a result of thinking too much and working too much and worrying too much and externalizing all our energy, putting all our energy out, and not taking time to look after ourselves. So really primary part about bringing ourselves back into balance is recognizing that and looking at where stress is in your life, bringing in tools like yoga and meditation, ways of calming and grounding, and also having a look at where the things are in your life that are causing you stress, and where you can, removing them or modifying them, or so just to be aware that stress is number 1. And then number 2 is high levels of sugar in the diet. So that's all over the place for most of us, you know, like it's not just when we go out and eat a bar of chocolate. It's also if we go out to restaurants, it's in the sauces, it's in all our packaged foods, it's in our salad dressings, the sugar's all over the place in contemporary living, right? So just to be aware where sugar is coming in and modifying that. And now there's so many great sugar substitutes, things like stevia. Here in Bali we have palm sugar, coconut palm sugar, rice malt, barley malt, really great sweet alternatives these days. So just being aware that sugar plays a really big role, so modifying that. And then you're like, sugar. I don't know what you're talking about.
You know when you have a tickle in your throat and you're trying to hold it?
It's a tickle in your throat.
Okay, continue.
Are you right? You good to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm listening. Yes.
So number 1 cause, stress.
Yes.
Number 2 cause, Number 2 cause are high levels of sugar. Third highest cause is high levels of toxicity. So again, toxins are all over the place living in 2015. So it's in the food that we're eating if we're not eating organic foods. It's also in the water that we're drinking, the air that we're breathing, the fish or the things we're eating from the sea, the face products and body products that we use, the cleaning products we use. So just becoming more aware of, you know, the amount of toxicity in your life and modifying it where you can. Eating whole foods, eating organic. There's so many great alternatives for beauty and health care products and cleaning products now. Just going to your local health food store and you can find really great alternatives.
Yeah, makes a huge difference. And I've explored this recently also in terms of natural beauty care, and your skin absorbs so much.
Totally.
It makes so much sense. Like I almost think it's just as important, if not more important, than what you're actually putting into your body.
Right.
It's what you put in your skin and your hair and everything.
Especially if you're doing it every day.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it absorbs straight in. So really look into more natural beauty care.
Yeah.
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 So if you think about that, 3 highest causes of hormonal imbalance: stress, sugar, toxicity. That's like modern life for most women.
Yep.
So, you know, no wonder hormonal imbalance is on the increase. So as soon as we're aware of that, we empower ourselves with choice. So that's important. And then the fourth and the fifth. The fourth is what I call an over-masculinization of the female body. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. And the fifth is mental and emotional trauma or sexual abuse that we can store in the reproductive organs. And that's a whole nother field. So, you know, so rather than going deeper into that today, just touching on that to let you know that you know, that's part of the picture. But what I will expand on is this idea of the over-masculinization of a female body. So what I'm talking about there is that all of us, as women and as men, have masculine and feminine qualities. And because we live in a world that for a long time our value systems have been set up by, you know, through a masculine paradigm, through a masculine outlook, then our value systems they're more inside of a masculine principle. And that those masculine principles are things like producing and achieving and striving towards a goal and directing our life towards making things happen. And it's fantastic, but it's only half the picture. The other half of the picture is the feminine qualities, which are more intuiting and embodying and sensing and communicating and creating harmony through that sensitivity, that inner seeing. And so it's really important for us as women to recognize that and to honor that more and more. And what's incredible to start to understand is that when that's at its most heightened, when that inner seeing, that inner intuition is most available for us, is during menstruation. And when we don't understand that, then menstruation, I mean, for most of us, that's for, you know, 40 years of our life. So there's a 40-year period where once a month we have this amplified intuition, this amplified sensitivity. And when we don't understand, one, the value of that, or two, that that's what's happening, then it just starts to feel like we become really oversensitive and overwhelmed and really overreactive and emotionally overreactive. And we can kind of feel like we're going crazy.
And people were like, our partners or other people in our life, our family, can reflect that to us also and be like, what are you doing? You're going crazy. Why are you being so, like, you know, why are you being so emotional? Why you're so angry? And we take that on and we think, whoa, okay, there's something wrong with me.
Exactly.
I'm not feeling loved, you know?
Exactly. And so, if there's anything I can share with you today, it's to let you know there is nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with you. Every woman, once a month, becomes increasingly sensitive. And the great news is that's of great purpose. So it's not an accident, you know? Like, there were times in the past, in more matriarchal times, where women understood this, where in fact it was revered by women and men. There were times where women were revered as the wisdom keepers. You know, at this time their inner seeing was more enhanced, and so both men and women honored that and revered that. So women used to come together and menstruate together. There's a great book called The Red Tent, if any of you have heard of that before, where women would literally come together and menstruate together in a red tent. And the men would celebrate that. At that time, the men would be like, great, the men would do the cooking and the cleaning, the men would look after the children, the men would like take care of business.
Dreams.
Right? Right. While the women were going to drop into this place of inner wisdom and come back with the solutions that would serve the entire community.
Yeah.
So not only is that not recognized and honored anymore, we don't even know about that ourselves. So we just feel overly sensitive inside a value system where we're supposed to be getting on with it. Mm-hmm. Whereas what the invitation is to understand is that menstruation, when we're menstruating, it's kind of like the seasonal changes that we experience. We have summer and we have winter. And in the winter time, we're naturally drawn more towards our energy going inward and downward. You know, the body wants to restore. It wants to recuperate, revitalize, re-energize. It's exactly the same with menstruation. Your energy is drawing you to go in and down so you can restore your life force. You have your least available energy during menstruation.
Yeah.
And you're not supposed to have a lot of energy to be going outwards. You're going inwards and downwards.
Yeah.
So our body is always communicating intelligently to us.
Yeah.
So it's asking us to slow down and to take some time out. So this is a really good time to delegate responsibility. If you've got people in your life that care about you, to say, would you mind cooking dinner tonight? Would you mind looking after the kids tonight? Or could I have a little space? Or just letting people know I need a little room for myself. I'm not as available at the moment.
Yeah.
And just really taking that time to honor yourself.
Yeah.
And to look after yourself and, you know, run yourself a bath, have a candlelit bath or a massage or listen to your favorite music or just take some time. And it's the time when that intuition, inner seeing is most available. Yeah. So if you like to journal, if you enjoy meditation or whatever it is for you that helps you to tap into that inner wisdom, it's a really good time for it around menstruation.
Yeah.
So there are 4 phases of the hormonal cycle. The first phase, we'd say, starts with menstruation, and that continues for, say, the first week of the cycle. Then when you're moving into the second week of the cycle, that's when the energy starts to increase. You've got more available energy. So in this time, it's when you have most available sexual energy. It's when your body's preparing for ovulation. It's preparing for you to go and you know, to get fertilized. So your body starts to get busy. So your body starts to let you know that, you know, like you're more sexually aroused and available. You're also more creatively enthused. You've got more outward energy. This is a great time. If you've had some insight that's come through that inner seeing, this is a great time to manifest that, to put that out into the world. Yeah. So this is a good time to do your projects. This is the time when you feel most confident, when you feel most in your body. It's usually when you feel really good about your body. It's the most upward time. It's kind of like full moon energy or summer energy. So that's kind of, you know, the second week. And then we move into the third week. And the third week is when we start to move downwards and inwards again. So this is usually the time when we start to feel, this time of the month is when we start to feel like, you know what, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. I'm feeling a little like I'm too busy, like I have too much on my plate, I've taken too many things on. And we can start to feel, you know, that it's a little too hectic. So really what this is your body just letting you know it's time to clear out some things. We're starting to move towards going inwards again. So it's just your body communicating something that's really healthy. But if we don't know that, when we come into that time, when we come into the third week, we can just start to feel like, you know what, last week I had all this energy. I was so on track. I was on the yoga mat. I was doing all my schoolwork. I was doing all my study. And now I just, you know, now I'm just starting to feel like, you know, I'm not on point anymore.
It's a bit of a come down or something.
Yeah, right. It's like third week come down. Exactly. So again, there is nothing wrong with you. You're not supposed to be on point all the time. You're not 100% outward going energy all the time. You need to start to draw the energy inwards to relax. Your body's just telling you what you need, so nothing's wrong. So it's a good time to just start to prioritize, just what's important, what's not so important, and just start to empty things out. And then lastly, we come into the fourth week. And the fourth week is when our sensitivity is starting to really heighten as we're moving towards menstruation. And this is usually the time, particularly if there is a physically manifested hormonal imbalance, where we can start to feel anything that's in the unconscious or the subconscious. Another way to refer to that would be anything that's in the shadow. Eckhart Tolle calls it the pain body. So anything that's kind of our deeper core beliefs that aren't aligned with the truth of who we are, that aren't serving us, they start to bubble to the surface in this time. And if we don't know that, if we're not aware of that, then if they start to rise to the surface and we just identify with them and get lost in them and start reacting from them, then this is the time when we experience PMS, or we experience like all that emotional turbulence. And it can feel like 2 weeks ago I was feeling amazing and now I feel like a mess again. And we kind of get that feeling. It's almost like menstrual amnesia, you know, like you don't even realize you're just starting to feel like you're a crazy woman, and then all of a sudden menstrual blood comes and you're like, oh, right, you know. Have you ever had that experience?
Yeah.
So the more that we can bring awareness to these different phases, then the more we can be empowered. We can recognize, you know, you can dot it out on your calendar when week 4 is. Oh, this is the time when stuff starts to show up. This is the time when I can really utilize my practices, my mindfulness practices, meditation practices. It could be a time when you journal about what you're feeling, so there's more space between you and your reactions. When you can take a little space in your relationship, you can explain to your partners or your family, this is a time when, you know, a lot of stuff comes up for me, and so just to allow some awareness and sensitivity and support around that. So really the important thing is that we start to recognize we're not the same woman all the time. We have these different phases, and they're totally normal and they're beautiful. And when we can really understand these different phases and harmonize our lives with these phases, then what we recognize is we have this inherent cycle in our being that is drawing us more and more towards our inner wisdom. You know, there are times when we can be really external and creative and out in the world, but there's other times when life is asking us to move inwards, when we get more sensitive and our shadow rises to the surface so we can transmute it and transform it. And every month that happens. There's an opportunity to get closer and closer to the truth of who we are. And it's a gift, you know? And if we don't understand that, I mean, I've even heard the term menstruation's the curse, right? It's not a curse, it's a gift. So the more that we're empowered by that education, then the more we can start to recognize that gift and receive the benefits, the nectar of those gifts. And so that's what I'm really passionate about sharing. So I have a whole body of work where I go into, you know, I teach weekly classes, I teach day-long retreats, I teach, you know, week-long retreats. I'm just really going more and more in depth to exploring that in all its significance and really empowering women inside of that to understand that menstruation's, it's an empowering gift.
And so these practices and being more aware of each week what stage you are in the cycle, I guess, naturally would help to rebalance a woman's hormones.
Absolutely.
If they have severe hormonal imbalance and they identify with the symptoms and with what you've discussed towards the beginning.
Absolutely. So that's those 5 things, you know, like, so if you start to look at where toxicity is coming in your life, look at where there's stress, look at where there's sugar, and then look at where you might be trying to always be in week 2, that over-masculinization of your energy, going all the time, and start to recognize, no, there's these 4 phases of my being. And the more that we harmonize with those phases, then everything starts to come back into balance. And if we can kind of, you know, look at all those different angles, then we start to recognize the mind and the body are one. They're inseparable. So when we start to influence our lifestyle and our mental, emotional life, as well as the physical aspect of our life, then everything comes back into balance, all as one holistic picture.
And also, as you were speaking, I think it's important for people to know that they can share this with other people. They can share this with people in their lives and not feel like it's something that they're suffering with on their own and it's something to be ashamed of. Like, just, I think if you can muster up the confidence to tell people, okay, look, I'm in this part of my cycle right now and this is the emotions I'm feeling, and not to just internalize it all, because I guess that can also create a lot of hormonal imbalance. Also, is like internalizing emotion and then it gets stored in, you know, women naturally store a lot of fear and guilt and shame in their reproductive system. So it's
the more that we understand ourselves, the more we can effectively communicate what we need with other people. And we can create more harmony in our relationships, more effective expression for ourselves, but also so that we're received in a way that's honoring and respectful of us. And, you know, we need to understand and educate ourselves first, and then we can expand that education to our partners, to our families, to our girlfriends, you know, and then it starts to create harmony for everybody. And you're absolutely right. We don't have to store that inside anymore. It's fluid and expressed and understood.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Tina.
It's my pleasure.
So much wisdom. I hope you absorbed as much of that as possible, and if you didn't, rewatch this interview
over and over again.
Stop at different points and write them down, because there was a lot there. So yeah, so much gratitude, and thank you again. And if you want to connect more with Tina, she's just launched an amazing website.
It's www.tinanance, Nance, tinanance.com.
And if you feel inspired to come to Bali and to practice with Tina, she teaches at Yoga Barn, and as she said, she also holds workshops and retreats, and she's got a couple coming up before the end of the year, so you can check her website for those details.
Yeah.
I would really recommend it. She's amazing.
She's amazing.
Okay, yeah, have a beautiful day, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for more awesome, epic interviews with a lot of wisdom.
Blessings, sisters.
Yay! That was great.